Welcome back here with us on Urban Debate on Mirror Now. In a significant order, the Supreme Court today ruled that recommendations of the GST Council aren't binding on centre and states, and it only has a persuasive value. You heard me right. That is what the Supreme Court has ruled today. And emphasizing the importance of cooperative federalism, a Supreme Court bench led by Justice D.Y. Chandrachud noted that the union and the state governments have simultaneous powers to legislate the goods and service tax. The apex court held that in Indian federalism, centre and state always engage in a dialogue, and hence the GST Council must also work in the harmonious manner. So that is the big story that we have for you at this point in time. What does it really mean for GST Council as a body? Let's try and understand from Jawahar Sarkar, TMC MP, Rajya Sabha, joining us on the broadcast this evening. Thank you very much, Mr. Sarkar, for being with us here on Urban Debate on Mirror Now. Firstly, what is your understanding of what the Supreme Court has ruled today?
You see, the Supreme Court has given a historic ruling on about a fact that we have been insisting for several years is the actual position in federal economic relations. We have been insisting on cooperation. We have been insisting on treatment of equality as enshrined in the Constitution. But for some reason, because of the higher amount of taxation and higher powers of taxation available with the central government, the present central government seems to be treating the states as an inferior partner. That is not on. The Supreme Court has reminded them that in economic federalism, as of course political federalism is also very much a part of it, in economic federalism, the status of the state assemblies and parliament, in other words, the state government and the central government are absolutely equal. The contention being made by the central government for the last 3 years is that the GST Council is supreme. Now, we respect the GST Council, it's representative, but the contention that they have been making is that once the GST Council takes a choice or takes a decision, obviously by majority where they control the majority, that becomes mandatory on all the states and they better listen to it. This is where Supreme Court has dispelled such mistaken ideas and have made it clear that both the state and the center are on equal footing. So that's the first part.
Would it then mean, Mr. Jawahar Sarkar, if GST Council as a body decides something, there is a decision probably on, say, certain goods and services, and a particular state does not want to implement that particular GST rate on that particular good or service, can that state go ahead and do that?
Not
then not question this very idea of one nation, one tax?
No, this particular judgment, if I have understood it correctly, I have seen only the newspaper version, this particular judgment is restricted to IGST, which is the interstate GST. It's restricted only to that. In other words, it focuses on the state's inherent ability to tax, to issue a GST on imported goods. But once a principle is established, it can always be extended. But as of now, it is confined mainly to IGST, a part of the GST. Okay.
No, could you help us understand further? What would it mean now? You know, we know that next GST Council meeting is supposed to happen very soon. So how will things change as the role of a GST Council body in itself is concerned?
I have a feeling that the GST Council will be more accommodative as they realize that they are only an advisory body. It will be more accommodative. The decisions will not be rammed through by majorities. That is the whole feeling, that there should not be any confrontation between the state and the center on what is decided by the GST Council. Because after the Supreme Court order on the GST Council, it will mean that even if the GST Council takes a decision and the central government wishes to ram through the decision, the state government can always differ. So it is best to cooperate and discuss matters, negotiate, and come to negotiated solutions. That is a far better way. We have not said that we do not accept the central government's power. It surely has a power, but within the limits of the Constitution. That is where these are extra constitutional measures. That is where the rearmament of the center through extra constitutional or non-constitutional methods is being struck down. That's all. It doesn't mean that immediate starting of provocation.
Okay.
It does mean that this is one up for the states. One up for the states. That's all.
Okay. Okay. And you're saying that it is only going to be restricted to IGST and not the role of GST Council while deciding on other matters like deciding on rates for goods and commodities?
No, the present judgment, if it has been reported well in the papers, we have not received the detailed judgment so far. It will come out, it will be up in a day or two. The present judgment seems to be restricted to the matter of IGST. Whether that precludes other forms of GST, okay, I'm not very sure, but it focuses on IGST. That I'm sure. That I'm sure.
But it is giving center as well as the state government simultaneous powers to legislate the goods and service tax. How do you read that point? Because that's where we are seeing a bit of confusion. Would it then that mean that if, for example, GST Council decides on a percentage or a tax percentage on a particular good or service like it does all the time, a state or maybe center does not want to implement that, then can the state or, center go against it? Then how will this one tax, one country idea really sustain? Then why do we need a GST Council?
No. Let us not jump the gun. Let us not think too far ahead. This particular judgment seems to be restricted to a component of GST, IGST, okay? Now, whether other items falling under GST would be falling under the ambit of this order is not 100% clear now. It is not very clear. Assuming that this extends to other items of the GST, it does not mean immediate breakdown of relations. It simply means that you better give me more consideration. That's all. Nobody wants economic relations between the center, the state, and the nation to collapse. We should not exaggerate the possibilities. That everybody is responsible. Government servants who work in the center are responsible, in the state are equally responsible. They are not irresponsible. They belong more or less to the same ethos of service. The same applies to the political head. So nobody is going in for a war or a breakdown. So let us not paint any picture of gloom or doom coming up. No, it's not correct. Let things roll out. It's just a tilt. It's just a gentle reminder from the Supreme Court to the people of India and to the center and the state that there needs to be more of a consultation before you enact something in this domain. That's all. That's all. That's all. But it upholds what the TNC has been saying.
So you see this as a reminder from...
This is what the TNC...
Right. So you see this as a reminder...
Reminder
for the
of,
center clearly, but you are saying that this definitely does not mean a breakdown in the relations between center and states when it comes to GST Council. Mr. Jawahar Sarkar, appreciate you joining us here on Urban Debate on Mirror Now. We, of course, are looking forward to that final judgment, and, of course, we'll see what is actually the message of the Supreme Court via this particular verdict. Thank you very much for joining us and helping us understand this very, very complex issue this evening. Heading into